In today's episode, drama as Jai Amos sends Shutter through the Fremantle camp, but the coach declares, if you're fit, you'll play. Welcome to the West Sports Show. This episode is brought to you by TabTouch. The more you know, the better it gets. Download the TabTouch app today. Real punters play here. What are you really gambling with? It's Tuesday, and I'm joined by Craig O'Donoghue. How are you, Cod?
Good, Quarters. Although I've got to say, this is the weirdest time of the year if your team's in contention, because there's only one thing that can happen. It can only go downhill by an injury, and what we've seen on Friday night and what I saw at training day is heart-in-mouth time for Fremantle.
Okay, so the Dockers, well done to them, sewing up the minor premiership. So it's a bit of a no-man's land game this week against a Carlton that's just re-signed its coach, has a bit to play for. So a real, it's not a banana skin game because it's unimportant to Freo in terms of ladder position, but you can still do a lot of damage, for momentum.
You can do a lot of damage to your body. That's the most important thing.
So now the debate point. So tell me what happened at training today, in particular, Jai Amos.
Well, it is heart-in-mouth time at this time of year. As we know, the last thing anyone wants is to get hurt. We saw that with Alex Pearce on Friday night when it looked like he was hurt and he dodged a bullet. Well, Jai Amos went down and everybody's heart was in their mouth for that. So he was on the inside 50 for match simulation. They were at halfway through match simulation. The ball was a bit further up the ground. And suddenly you look over and there he is on his knees reaching for his foot. And the trainers went over and checked on him. He indicated that he'd stepped on somebody else's foot and then hobbled off the field. You could see Justin Longmuir just look over as if to say, wonder what's going on there. And then Longmuir got back to training, but Jai Amos didn't come back out. That was the concerning part. Now, there wasn't a lot of training remaining for him to come out for. They did a running session briefly, then they did their own skills, but he remained indoors. So the concern was, what's happened to Jai Amos now? But the good news for him was it was just a small thing, and he is available to play this week. And, of course, Pearce was a huge bullet to dodge on Friday night because that had us all worried.
It went off for some treatment at some stage, came back on, finished the game, just looked, it didn't look good for a while there, but he managed to run it out. So how did he look today?
He looked okay. He didn't do everything that they were required to do, which is not uncommon for Alex Pearce. I thought it was interesting he had his cast back on the left arm. He doesn't always wear that. He was looked after a bit and managed, which happens for someone of his age in general. What I found interesting was we asked Justin Longmuir, you've got 10 guys who have played every game this season.
Yep.
This is before training. Will they all play this week? And he just flat out said yes. And then we said, will Alex play? He said yes. So Alex Pearce obviously hasn't played every single game for the year. But his attitude is, we're picking our best team this week, and then we're going to have a week off when wildcard round happens, and then we're going to turn it back up and play finals footy. So he's not looking to rest anyone.
From concepts to completion, major infrastructure developments are transforming WA, including new hospitals and transport improvements, more affordable homes, and vibrant recreational and community spaces for the benefit of all Western Australians. Major projects are also providing economic benefits through the creation of local jobs, training, and employment opportunities. Together, we're building for tomorrow. Search Building for Tomorrow to find out what it means for you. Cod, Sean Darcy, was he out there today and did he complete the session?
Sean Darcy is healthy.
Okay.
So Darcy
worrying at the weekend, came off with a calf injury, iced it up, didn't finish the game.
So Justin Longmuir today said that they thought it might have been a cork at the time, which Sean Darcy might have assumed was an injury, but it wasn't. So he had a scan and it came up clear.
Oh, that's good news.
And Longmuir said that Darcy, you looked at him and went, that's the first time I've had a scan where it's come up clear before. So he was quite happy with himself.
So my next question. So given that this is a bit of a dead rubber for Fremantle, given that then there is a week's break afterwards, given I don't want to put the moz on anyone, but if one of the ruckmen, so if Luke Jackson or at the moment the incumbent Mason Cox is the two I see, any of them are injured, Sean Darcy will come in. Would it be prudent to give him a run this week in the AFL?
So if he plays, he would have to be the number one ruckman.
That's right. So I'm saying rest Luke Jackson this week.
Yeah.
Would that not be tempting?
It'd be a hard sell to Mason Cox, I reckon, to say you're still number two.
Why? He'd just do what he's told.
Yeah, I know.
He'd be happy to be getting a game in the premiership favourite.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting conversation to say, so Sean, you're coming in and doing the majority of the work. I think that he's better served playing nearly the entire game in the waffle and getting miles into the legs. My concern for Sean Darcy is just mentally, around his body. What happens if he feels sore again? Would he push through in an AFL game if he's feeling sore because of the opportunity that's in front of him and then get injured? Whereas in the waffle, he might be more comfortable with that coming off.
But if you're going to play deep in September in the AFL team, you're going to have to anyway. So I think it would be a good opportunity for him.
It's definitely something they could consider doing, but they've already declared they're not going to rest anyone. Okay. So that makes it really. But I do. It's a really interesting question. Should they play Darcy and Cox at the same time? Give Darcy the full game in AFL to see what it looks like.
Jackson? What does it look like?
Yeah, we don't know.
No, so I think it'd just be important if they have to fall on it at some stage.
Yeah, and because they would look dramatically different if they got to finals and Luke Jackson pinged a hamstring or a calf or got concussed or anything like that. The real big question, though, for this week, the season-defining selection question for Fremantle this week is what they do in their back line.
Yes.
Do they play Alex Pearce, Brennan Cox and Oscar McDonald together again? And if they do, they're playing them together in finals? Or do they go back to the tried and true formula of only playing two of them and having Judd McVie in the team and being smaller? They are very tall on the weekend. It's an unusually tall team they're picking at the moment. They've only done it once. Will they do it again? What do you think?
What was McVie dropped for?
McVie was dropped for not performing to the level they said, but I think it was also because of the height that Adelaide had inside 50. Regardless of whether it was Tex Walker who was playing or Murray who was playing, they had an extra tall forward down there, which meant that they had the players who are able to defend them, but they're going to come up against smaller forward lines against Carlton and during the finals.
So I think that McVie's really important to them. So he probably gets the nod. It's really disappointing for Oscar, but footy's it's a tough game at this level. He's awfully unlucky, but so would Brennan Cox be. Obviously, Alex Pearce and Brennan Cox are two of your first defenders picked. But I think it's pretty important the way the game's played now is to get McVie at least back in that squad. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any other wriggle room for them to play.
The wriggle room is, do they drop Luke Ryan? Do they drop Brennan Cox? They're probably the two that you could look at and go, okay, it's Pearce.
Not dropping Brennan Cox. I think Luke Ryan would be more vulnerable than Brennan Cox. There's no way you're dropping Brennan Cox.
So I'm not dropping them either, but to keep McDonald in the team, they're the only other option.
I think Luke Ryan would be the most likely to make way.
And I think I'll look at Luke Ryan and go, he's a veteran of the team. He's a bloke who brings the ball out of the back line a lot. I don't think his role is easily replaceable. Yeah. So then you say, are you going to be prepared to drop Brennan Cox? I wouldn't be dropping Brennan Cox either. Yeah. Therefore, it's either McVie or McDonald, and that's the only options. It is interesting. So if you look at on the weekend, Clark, Ryan, Warner, Chapman, Cox, McDonald, Pearce, total height 1,345 centimetres. That is 18 centimetres taller than Brisbane's forward line. It is significantly taller than Hawthorn's forward line, and Carlton's forwards this week are even smaller. So if you look at Brisbane and Hawthorn as the teams they're most likely to play in that first week of finals, that if they go in with that tall of a forward line, they will be gigantic compared to all of them. So Brisbane have Charlie Cameron at 180 and Connor McKenna at 184, Kai Lohmann 185, Cam Rayner at 187. Then they got their keys. Hawthorn have got Nick Watson at 170, Dylan Moore 177, Ginnivan 185, McDonald 185, then their talls, and Carlton have got Byrne at 174, Ainsworth 178, Evans 182, Cottrell 184, and Hayward 187. So the three teams that, one, they'll play this week, and two, they might play in the first week of finals, are all going to be shorter forward lines, which means it's a bold decision to go with lots of guys who are 201 in Pearce's case, 196 McDonald, 195 for Cox, and then Heath Chapman's 193.
I'm not too worried about this week, to be honest, whatever format they take, but I'm not playing a taller forward line against Brisbane deep in September. You will come unstuck. You will lose the game. So they've got just too many gun, mid and small forwards.
Well, Brisbane's flag team last year was in total 37 centimetres shorter than what Fremantle's team would be if they just bring Murphy Reid in and keep McDonald in the team. So Murphy Reid in for Cherry, that would make them 37 centimetres taller than Brisbane's flag team last year. And when you look at recent years, Bobby Hill was a match winner in 2023, kicking 4 goals. Yeah. Callum Archie and Kyle Lohmann kicked 4 goals each in 2024. Charlie Cameron kicked 4 goals last year in the grand final. Zach Bailey, 3 goals, 6. Kyle Lohmann, 2 goals. Cam Rayner, 1 goal. So small forwards wreak havoc on grand final day. You would want to have enough short guys to be looking after whoever you face in that grand final. And if you get lots of talls, if it ends up being that case as your opponent, then you can bring McDonald in to go with Cox and Pearce. But I'd be reticent to be going really, really tall if others are going small inside 50.
Now, you mentioned Murphy Reid before. What's his status at the moment? The nasty injury to the nether region. I've copped that injury once in my life, Cod, and I can tell you I would not have been back playing footy within 2 weeks. I guarantee you.
Well, the question was put to Murphy Reid by Luke Ryan at the end of the session, which was quite simply, how'd you go, Knackers? Which I thought summed up.
Which is an Aussie term. But
summed
yes,
up what we probably all thought. So he wore a pink hat to be protected, so don't hurt Murphy Reid is basically the pink hat is what it says. Toby Wan forgot about the pink hat at one point and tackled him, then threw the arms back straight away to say, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So he didn't do the match simulation part of the session. He did do some of the competitive work though. And then he did a lot of running by himself afterwards. So he was moving well. He was kicking the footy well. It just feels like, why would you bother putting him out there with the risk of him copping a knock and it, how do I say it, blowing up again and being a problem for him in the first week of finals. So it's a difficult sort of injury. As you've had it, I would not imagine what it would feel like.
It's pretty tough, I can tell you.
So I wouldn't be putting him anywhere near a footy field just in case.
Just one final one, and it's changed a little. Landscape could change a little bit because of the stuff swirling around Sydney at the moment. The AFL's delayed the selection of its All-Australian squad till next Monday, and the team will be picked a day later. But understanding that, there could be some changes depending. But nevertheless, who are your locks for Freo? I've got 3 locks, and I've got a few others that I think should be in the extended squad.
So who are your locks?
I think Bolton.
Yep.
I think Murphy Reid.
Yep.
And I think Josh Tracy.
Luke Jackson?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I've got 4 locks. He's in. I've got him as the bench ruckman.
Yep.
I've still got Max Gawn ahead of him as first ruck. And I also say apologies to Brody Grundy because you can't pick 3 ruckmen in a squad, but he's the next off the line.
Yeah, so they're the 4 that I've got as being
Okay.
in the team as well. What I find really interesting was yesterday when we're going through and doing this exercise about how many would be in the squad is a lot of the time you look at it and say, there'll be lots of Dockers in the squad. I don't think there'll be more than 5 or 6.
Yeah, so I think who's got claims? You'd have to say Caleb Sarong. You'd have to say Andy Brayshaw. Claims. Alex Pearce probably missed too much footy, but if he kept going the way he was going to be probably a lock at fullback. Maybe Jordan Clark, but that's about it. Have I missed anyone?
No, I think that's a lot of them. But so when you look at historically, in recent years, 5 in the 44-man or 46-man squad is about the max for any team. So if Fremantle are going to have 4 who are in the team that we just mentioned, I don't think that there's going to be too many others who are going to get into that squad just based on history. Caleb Sarong and Jordan Clark were in last year. I don't think either have had as good a year.
But even the extended squad.
Yeah,
so I'm not saying the team.
No, I'm talking about the extended squad. Yeah. 5 in the 46 has been the max. So I don't think Sarong or Brayshaw or Clark have had
better years than they've had.
All Australians. I think the strength of Fremantle this year is they've had so many players who have played well at different points that they haven't had a lot of All-Australian seasons because they haven't had to have All-Australian seasons because they've had others who are doing well.
Sarong and Brayshaw can have an off game, which rarely happens, but they can have an off game and it doesn't affect Fremantle like it used to. They can still win the game.
Correct. Brayshaw's happily sacrificed this year and said, I don't need to win the footy. Caleb Sarong's gone, in you come, Murphy Reid, in you come, Shabon. I'll have less of it so the team can play well. So if they don't have All-Australian seasons, I don't think it matters because the team is on top of the ladder and it's a premiership favourite and they've found a way to make the team better by dropping back slightly from their own individual status.
I think if you ask Fremantle supporters what they prefer, a premiership or more Australian players, I know what the answer would be, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. When Sarong's footy on the weekend was magnificent, best on ground, just fantastic performance, and he's had a lot of those games, but he hasn't had to be the guy every single week.
Well, him and Rankin, I think, were pretty line ball. I mean, he was best Freo player, and with claims for the 3 votes, but geez, Rankin was good too.
He was. Yeah. Jordan Clark's the element, like when Jordan Clark's running through the midfield and getting those handball receives and bombing it inside 50 and setting them up and giving them all that run, just elite, but he hasn't had to do it week in, week out because they haven't had as much pressure of the ball in the back line because they're winning more games. So that takes away from his chances of being All-Australian as well at different points. So, yeah, I think Fremantle fans should absolutely celebrate the lack of players who we think are in the team because that's the reason why they've been so good this year.
You've been listening to the West Sports Show. This episode has been brought to you by Tab Touch. The more you know, the better it gets. Download the Tab Touch app today. Real punters play here. What are you really gambling with? And remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music. Cod, it's been great. Thanks.
See you next week.